What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't seen the last video, be sure to go back and check it out. We made a ton of progress on the H2B CRX, clearanced the radius rod from the crank pulley. We modified the charge pipe that was sticking up a little too high, and a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff underneath the hood. Now in today's video, we're going to be modifying the exhaust that's currently on the car. It's not even a full exhaust, it's literally a mid pipe. From the down pipe after the subframe, it has two resonators and it has a 90-degree turn down right at the shifter box. To me, it sounds really good, but realistically, it is super duper loud, especially resonating off the floor with the turn down. And what I want to do today is really just take a look underneath the car, see what we are working with, and what all can I do to get it to kind of go further back towards the rear of the car. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to go out the back bumper or just dump it where the original gas tank used to sit at. But based off materials, we're going to build accordingly. So right now, let's go and take a look at it. So I want to show you guys the current exhaust system, or half a system. If you guys know the homie Higgins built on Instagram, this was actually his old exhaust setup. And he ended up getting a new one fab by the homie KELLYBUILT, and he gave me these twin resonators. So what I did was, I know the open downpipe was loud. It sounds good, but it was loud. And I was like, kind of want to tone it down. So I added what I had lying around, which is these two vibrant with a turn down. And it's still just as loud, but it's a deep, good sounding loud. Opposed to like open downpipe. So I added this and I kind of tucked it up as high as I could without like hitting the chassis and also the drive shaft, because obviously this car is all-wheel drive. And I didn't like really mess with oval tubing at the time to like, you know, figure out a way to tuck it up nice along here. It didn't go out the back. Instead, I used what I had. This is what I did. What I want to do is, because this is already low and honestly the oil pan is lower than the exhaust, I might end up just keeping maybe this front half right here and then lob this resonator off and then oval tube to go from the side and kind of work my way to the rear. And might even put this resonator with the turn down in the back, since I don't really have a muffler. I do have a muffler, but the MagnaFlow is, I kind of want to keep it for my sedan because it's fab for my sedan. But worst case scenario, I do have a MagnaFlow that I could use, right? But I don't want to change the tune too much by, you know, putting a muffler on. Instead, run the same stuff that it was tuned with, just further back. So I think I'm going to turn the car around because it is about to rain and I am literally like past the carport. So I'll be in the rain if I be working on this right now. So I was helping my brother install his new TV into his room on the wall, and we lost the daylight. I mean, technically we lost the daylight as soon as we started today, so it is what it is. The car is jacked up on jack stands, and I did pop off the exhaust a little while ago. I mean, not really much of an exhaust, right? It's literally just 2 resonator and a 90-degree turn down. So I mentioned earlier that this hangs already low underneath the car, and the oil pan itself actually still hangs lower than the resonator right here. This one is much larger than this one. Originally, what I wanted to do was use one resonator up in the front because I don't want to lob off the V-band, and then build the exhaust from this one going back. But if I cut it here, I'm losing more material because there's literally no hang off to add to it. And if I put a 3-inch round into this, it's going to be much smaller than these 2 inlet holes. So I'm not sure if I just want to leave these 2 in the front and then build off the back, which taking this off will allow me to cut this off. But again, we're so close to the resonator already, it's like no difference if I just cut it there, right? So I think what this comes down to is, do I want to put a box muffler in the back of the car? Do I want to sacrifice one of my personal exhausts, lob off the muffler from that? I have a Vibrant and the MagnaFlow to use in the back of this car, which one of it is for the wagon. Or do I use the resonator as the muffler, which the car was tuned on both of these resonator, no muffler. So I gotta like really plan this out before I go cutting stuff. Also, I need to dig through all my materials to see what I have, to see how I can make this all work. So I went to the backyard to grab my Vibrant muffler. This is the Stealth Street Power muffler, and I've always ran this one on all of my turbo cars. Even in the all-motor car, I had the same one in the KRX. I had the same one that was in the wagon, and this is just a spare one that I originally built for my sedan, and I took it off because this was configured for front-wheel drive. So because it's been sitting in the backyard, you guys can kind of see how crusty it is. I think I'm just going to use it because they don't really cost that much, and if I need another one, I'll just buy another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this flange right here because we're not running a 3-bolt, and then we're going to cut it off right here to dump it, like I think before the axle. I'm going to keep it where the gas tank area is at and keep the bumper clear and open in the rear, so that way you can see all the S1 stuff down there. And I'm also going to cut off this tip to use as a turn down right there. So that's going to go on the end here. I got to do all the measurements to make sure I'm not going to go too far back to where it actually hits the axle. Let me show you guys really quickly. So from here to the axle, I have about 30 inches, and what I've already calculated is about 23 with the turn down. This right here is dark for you guys to see, but let me kind of move out of the way here. This right here is oval tubing, and I've literally contemplated all night to figure out what I wanted to do with the resonators. And because they're already there, the car is not that low, and that one right there is lower than the one in the rear, and the oil pan is still lower than anything else underneath the car. I decided to just leave it there. Based off the amount of material that I had to use that for the length. So both resonators stay the same. And then you guys remember the turn down that was right here. I'll show you guys when I pull it out of the car. I took that 90-degree turn down, cut it in half, made it to 245 to clock it away from the viscous coupler. And then I took the oval and used the expander to expand the oval to round to connect it there. And then it just barely exit right there in the rear. And that's gonna, I mean, hopefully I have enough material to connect to that to put the muffler on. I think what I need to do is I need to cut a piece of this off to be able to expand the oval to round, because I couldn't do this on my press. And you guys can see right here, I cut it off about 6 inches, and then I expanded it, then I taped it back together. We will weld it back up. Might have to do the same here in order to get a round expanded on this end and go to the muffler. Talking too much. Let's figure this all out. So the thing about me is I don't mind using old material, right? But the thing about old material is you got to clean it up really well, inside and out, to make sure you get some good welds. So on the muffler itself, I cleaned it inside and out. This side, the other side, the turn down we're going to use over there, I spent a lot of time cleaning that out because obviously it's a used muffler, so the inside is all charred up. But anyways, I got it mocked up. You guys can see it's on the jack, and it's a lot higher than the oval tubing right here, right? And reason for that is because I just want to make sure that we have clearance when I go over a speed bump. It's not going to knock it or whatever. And honestly, it wouldn't make that big of a difference because the rest over there, it's much lower than anything else in the car. So I am going to bring this down just a little bit because using whatever I have in my bin, obviously the offset here is different. And with what I had left over, this is going to give me that S shape to kind of aim towards it, and when I bring the muffler down just a little bit, it should line up. Now I do need another oval to round transition like I did in the front, so that means I'm gonna have to cut a piece of this off to do that, and it may work out because I was worried about this S bend being too close to the frame, so now looking at it, I can actually bring it back a little bit to clear, and that gives me about 2.5 inch to make a new transition. Now this may be a little short for the transition in the making, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut what I need, weld it to that end, and then I'm going to do the expansion, and then I'm going to break the welds off to put that one back over here, then the transition I'll need from here to the muffler. I know guys, I yap a lot, but I love to explain things. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some more pieces, and let's try to finalize this. guys, the car sounds so much better. I mean, it's still pretty deep, but it's not loud inside the car because the exhaust noise is not exiting there anymore. It's exiting over here, and I'm sure when I have the center divider, it's going to close it up a little bit more and should be a little bit quieter than what it is currently right now. But overall, I'm pretty happy, and this thing sounds freaking awesome, dude. I don't know if you guys heard that little pull I just did. You hear the blow-off valve. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the turbo, but it sounded good. It sounded really good. I'm kind of curious about the ground clearance because I did kind of scrape on. Oh shit, look at that. That's definitely the exhaust right here. I just saw that. But I want to see what the ground clearance is looking like. It was already low before with the 2 resonators. Oh, we still got some ground clearance. That's at least 2 inches. I mean, that's pretty low already. Huh. But yeah, I mean, we have clearance nonetheless, and the car sounds so much better, so I'm stoked about that. I just washed the damn car. What the heck is all that? Anyways, guys, I have some burner wheels on here for right now. This is my brother's old set of wheels that was on his wagon before he bought the new ones, and he took these off because he hit the curb, and this wheel is pretty messed up. You can see it right there. And these are the XXR 5.2 ones. This has been one of my favorite wheels for a long time. I've had a silver set, I had a black set, which I gave to my brother, which is this one, and then I had another black set on my sedan back in the days. And these are just burners for now because I'm going to be cleaning the KONIG wheels, and I don't want to polish the car with the KONIGs on it because then I'd have to clean it again, especially because there's a lot of spokes. So I got these on here. I don't care if it's dirty or whatever, but it also looks pretty good on these wheels too. I mean, maybe it's just because of the black and white combo, like the Panda, because the KONIGs are also black as well. Let me know what you guys think. Looks freaking awesome. I spent a cool minute laying on the floor just looking at the exhaust clearance between the floor, and the more I look at it, the more I'm like, dang, it's pretty low. But the 2 resonators up in the front is lower and has always been that low, so I'm actually okay with it. Driving the car around the block in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd gear, the car is not that loud inside the car, and I'm actually like very curious to see how this thing sounds like on the freeway because I do have an LS 5th gear in it, so it's going to bring the RPM down a lot. I know my red CRX also had an LS 5th gear, and the car was like super duper quiet, and you didn't have to yell at each other. So I'm hoping the same for this car when I do drive it. But before I do drive the car on the freeway though, I noticed that the temp was getting pretty high. Now I mentioned something about the drag radiator having such a small fan in the last video, that the fan itself is not efficient enough for long-term driving. It's called a drag radiator for a reason, because it's more so meant for drag cars to go down the 1/8 mile, 1/4 mile, return back, and then park to let it cool off, right? I did more digging around, and the spall fan that comes with the Speed Factory drag kit is actually only 590 CFM. Not enough to drive long terms. That is actually lesser than the OEM fan, which I believe draws like 900, right? But on Real Street Performance, they don't show any 9-inch fan that's more than 600, but they do have a 10-inch fan that draws 1090 CFM. So I'm probably going to buy that fan and just kind of have it overhang the radiator a little bit to be able to have that much CFM to cool this car off when I'm driving long distance. That is something to add on to the list. But guys, now that the exhaust is out of the way, the last big thing we need to do is to final polish the car one more time. I'm gonna have to find a day where it's sunny out, where it's not raining, and just mask the entire car of areas that I don't want to be polished, and then I'm just gonna hit it with the stage 3 polish from 3M. I believe it's like the blue compound. I don't remember, I gotta check my bin. But the last thing we need to do is polish the car out, and then we can put it away into the storage to prevent it from further damage, and then we can start the process of finding a new home for that car. We're gonna wrap it up right here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the progress update on the H2B CRX. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for more H2B content, or my wagon, or this EG that might be coming in, I'm not sure yet. But if you guys want to stick around and see any of those, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.